Alright guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be reviewing RaceRoom racing experience today for OnlineRaceDriver. Back again, this is Daniel Foss. I'll be doing the review today. And the race that you're going to be watching is a 5-lap race at the Paul Ricard WTCC circuit. I'll be driving the RML Chevy Cruze along to a victory, spoiler alert there. But I want to use this time to kind of talk about RaceRoom racing experience and what makes it special. I think one of the biggest things about RaceRoom race experience is just the amount of content. So Sector 3 Studios, who are the ideological successors to Simbin, the Race 07 series, things like that, did a great job of continuing on with a lot of official content. So you've got things like the GTR 1, 2, and 3 series, which is basically just some outdated GT cars, kind of last season's GT cars, so to speak. You also have the last two WTCC seasons, as well as the DTM seasons, amongst some other things, and they've got some Audi TT series, as well as some kind of fictional RaceRoom series. So you do get a lot of official content, a lot of official drivers, but one thing that is kind of a negative, and we'll get to some pros and cons later, is that this sim is not moddable. And while it does look pretty fantastic, so there's not really much need there, it does kind of leave some things lacking there, in that you're kind of up to Sector 3 Studios as to what you can drive, where you can drive that as well. That said, the sim does look and drive really well. One thing that Sector 3 has done really well is tune the force feedback. Right out of the box, force feedback feels good, it feels responsive, the cars seem pretty easy to drive and to catch. The tracks all look pretty well, since it is all official content and not mods. You do get a more finished feeling. However, that leads us to the business model, and that's that if you want all the content, it will set you back in the neighborhood of $100. It is a free-to-play race simulation, but that only comes with a couple cars and a couple tracks. So they do employ kind of an iRacing style, but not to that extent, business model where you pay for the content you want. You can buy experiences, which packages cars and tracks together with some rule sets, or you can buy virtual points to apply towards content. I believe the pack that gives you all the content right now is selling for around $85 US. So if you can handle either not buying all the content or kind of picking and choosing, it can be a more cost-effective option. And they are planning on introducing licensing systems, safety ratings, things like that, a la iRacing in the near future, so that might also raise your interest in the sim. But for right now, the kind of microtransaction style content might turn some people away from the sim. I did try my best to try to find some kind of comparative laps, so I did take the SLS AMG GT3 to Monza at a variety of tracks and a variety of simulators, a set of Corsa, Factor 2, and RaceRoom racing experience. Found that for the most part my laps were pretty comparable, which means that it's not wildly out there, but I think we can say for most of the modern sims that they are relatively within the realm of the same ability to represent these cars. And I think Sector 3 Studios, being kind of, like I said, an ideological successor to Simbin, has a pretty good heritage as far as creating good, solid race cars. I think a lot of the tracks that are available, since they are real-world tracks, are done well. There's all the various options and layouts and things like that. So I think the tracks look and drive well. One thing that I did find that I wasn't always a fan of was the anti-cut ruling. If you just even go wide in a lot of corners, you'll trigger the anti-cheat, anti-cut, whatever you want to call it, where you have your lap time invalidated. And again, I'll get to some of that a little bit later, but just something to point out that maybe could be improved in future builds would just be that kind of anti-cut logic from the AI. Which brings us to the final part that I kind of want to talk about, and that would be my pro and cons list, or I guess you can kind of consider it my verdict as to what I liked about Sector 3's RaceRoom race experience. And first of all, I just want to full disclosure here that they did provide me with a press copy. I was able to drive most of the content. You're not going to see that here in this video, just because it would have gotten too long. There's just so much content from P1 cars, P2 cars, open wheel cars, touring cars, TTM cars, which are in plast, and my favorite, the WTCC cars, which you're seeing here. But let's talk about some pros and cons. In the pro list, there's a lot of official cars. Almost all the content is officially licensed, with the exception of some of the Formula RaceRoom open wheel cars, which are more not actual F1 cars, if you know what I mean. The online code is fantastic. The netcode works really well. Online racing is fun. It's enjoyable. I mean, you still fall into kind of the public server madness, but that said, the sim works well in an online system. The replay system, I love it. It provides kind of that same Assetto Corsa. You can take a picture in any system or any point kind of thing. That said, if you have cars that drop out of a race or retire, they won't show up in the replay, which can be a problem for some league races. And turbos. So a lot of modern simulations don't handle turbo simulation well, or don't do it at all. And RaceRoom Racing Experience does it fantastically. So cars like the 80s Group 5 cars, or the BMW M1 Pro car, or some of the the GT cars have turbo simulations that work really well, and it makes it a lot of fun to drive these cars. Very challenging to drive some of these cars as well. As far as cons though, you can't tune to the same extent that you can in a lot of sims. That is, you only have front and rear tuning options for springs. You can't tune each wheel independently. Again, the modding is limited. There are some dashboard mods, but that's about all you're going to find. You're not going to find cars or anything like that. The AI can be pretty aggressive. You get dive bombed a lot, kind of taken out, which is unfortunate. And again, like I said, the no retirements in the replay. And kind of in the both column is that modular idea. If you only want some content, like the WTCC cars, it can be a real advantage. If you want a lot of the content, it can start to get real expensive real quick. That said, I highly recommend it. I had a blast reviewing this game, and I want to thank Sector 3 Studios for extending us the press option so that we could take a look at all the content. If you are interested, I encourage you to go out and take a look at RaceRoom Racing Experience, see if you want to buy some of the experiences, and go turn some laps. I'll stop talking, you can enjoy the rest of this lap.